I am delighted to have you here. So those of you that are watching this, you may have seen the Trifecta Live I did recently with Laura Dick, where I went through and introduced Laura to a couple of her archetypes in more in depth, which is simulating, but it really was an insight into exactly what a Trifecta profiling session looks like. But we're doing something different today. Emma has known her archetypes for 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. And yeah, it's crazy. Time just flies. Emma and I met at an Artful Business conference in Brisbane over 4 years ago, even though we are both from the same city, both in person. We had to go all the way to Brisbane, interstate, cross country, to meet each other. And it's been a joy to know her for all that time and to work with her in different ways. She's done lots of my programs and things. So saying that, she's on an ongoing journey, as lots of women with their Trifecta archetypes are. And I invited her to come in to join me today to talk through a challenge or frustration or something you've got going on in your business. And we've got a big juicy one. I know a little bit about what she's going to ask me, but we're going to unpack it together through the lens of her archetypes, which is where the magic of, your archetypes and you've got your profile and you understand who you are, but this is the next level for business. So Emma, before we dive into that and you share with me and with everyone else and we do a laser focus session on this, can you please tell everyone a bit more about you and what you do so that they know about you as a businesswoman as well?
Okay, so I'm Emma. I've been a wedding photographer for over 13 years now. And before that, I was a science educator. Before that, I was a science teacher. I did a bit of digital teaching within the university to teach teachers how to use digital in their classrooms. And now, for the last 4 years, when I went to the Creative Artful Business Conference, I was really trying to step into figuring out branding portraits, because I'd been asked by my brides to do what I did for their weddings, but for their businesses. So which is more candid, less headshotty photos. And I also I've been doing my own website for years, and I was getting people asking about that as well. So I was sort of set up Acorn Creative, about 5 years ago. And it's sort of still, I don't know, it's better. I've focused it a bit more, but that's where I'm having my issue
today. Yeah, awesome.
Yes, because I love my branding portraits. I love doing them. I do like doing websites, but I don't think, we talked about this, I haven't got my systems really set up for it properly, and I don't think I have the time or the space to do it at the moment.
Okay. Let's get stuck into this. So I'm going to ask you in a moment to share a little bit more about the particular the focus you want to bring to the challenge and then your archetypes. So Emma has 5 archetypes, and just a little side thing. Those of you that have seen or have a copy of my book, the photo that's on the cover, that's Emma's work. So in the photos that are on the Trifecta website, some of those are from the fabulous Tanita Seaton and some of them are from Emma. So the photos of me. So beautiful to be able to share local women's artwork in that sort of visual sense as well. So I love that Emma knew about the archetypes when she was doing that, because you were able to see, your visionary creator was able to see beyond, I think, what was possible to bring images of me and Trifecta stuff to life. So that's cool. So you've got 5 archetypes. So just want to talk about them very quickly. So if you can just tell us what you've got.
Okay, so I've got Shapeshifter Alchemist, which is the one that I probably has caused me to struggle a little bit. Mentor Teacher, obviously, used to be a teacher. Inspire Believer, Visionary Creator, Photographer. And Heroine Adventurer, which I've never been a Olympic athlete. That's the only part that I don't get, but I love dogs. I have a big dog. I've always had
nature. You love outdoors.
Yeah, and I do insane, stupid hikes every now and then without any preparation at all. Just go
That's what Hero Adventures can do. So when I talk about them being, the potential for like Olympic scale type physical activity, that's your version of your Olympics. Yeah. So that's cool. Awesome. So tell us a little bit more. You just said that about the exact thing you want to talk about today, and then we could use your archetypes. And as you said, and you've sort of already highlighted to me that you feel the shapeshifter is having probably more of a influence in a not so good way than you want her to. So we can start there, but just give everyone a bit more of a framework around what's going on and what your frustration is, so we can dive in and unpack that in sort of next 15, 20 minutes or so.
Okay. I think it's because I created Acorn Creative. I started Acorn Creative to merge in sort of like my businessy branding portraits and websites for businesses. Yeah. And I in my head at the start, I thought it was quite succinct, but I was getting website clients that didn't know anything about my photos, photo clients that didn't know anything about my website stuff, and then website clients from like overseas, which is amazing, but I can't take their portraits anyway. So there was no way I could merge them. And so and also with the shapeshifter, I sort of have like shiny object syndrome.
Like,
so I sort of go, I've got the next idea and the next idea and the next idea, but I haven't
so
grounded myself in what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay, so we've got 3 businesses that you're running, not necessarily simultaneously, but you're doing bits and pieces of them all over the place. And you want to get clarity on the impact of your archetypes and how you can better use them to support you. So this may be exciting or terrifying at the same time. It's not just your shapeshifter alchemist that's having an influence on all of this. Definitely not. The shapeshifter alchemist archetype, though, is an energy. She needs to have variety in her life and in her work. So having that, you've got 3 businesses essentially that you're running, or 3 arms to your business that you're running. So this is definitely part of your shapeshifter. The visionary creator is also the one that comes up with those ideas and wants to create things all the time. So this is an archetype that you and I have the same. And in fact, it's very, I'd say it's a rare archetype, but somebody asked me just the last couple of weeks about how many visionary creators I've actually profiled and worked with over the last decade I've been doing this. And I reckon there's less than 10 of us that have worked, there's not saying there's not millions of them out in the world, but in terms of the women in the business network in which you and I spend time, there's not as common an archetype. So, but she did that whole desire to create is also let's move on. And there can be a degree of boredom sometimes for a visionary creator. And also the shapeshifter alchemist going, I'm doing the same stuff over and over again. Where's the new? Where's the exciting? So, and the inspire believer, of course, if you are feeling a bit flat and a bit disengaged from what you're doing and not really sure because you've got so many questions and so many balls, in terms of 3 different business things that you're juggling, your inspire believer can get excited and energetic and motivated at some points. And then other times she's going to be like, this is all too much, or I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know where I'm going with this. So I'll just go in, just curl up for a little bit and re-energize myself. And then that can trigger the shapeshifter alchemist, who can have problems with visibility when she's not clear and certain about who she is and what she's doing. She can then have visibility challenges and literally be hidden. So we can't see you. It's like, someone might be following you from a business perspective and going, I so want to book a shoot with Emma and do some photos, or I so want Emma to do my website. And then all of a sudden it's like they can't find you online, even though you're still there and actively attempting to show up. It's like the hiding can be so big there. So how have you used your archetypes that you're aware of to help you to get clarity, or you don't feel you have?
I don't think I have. Like, I'm doing the magnetism program at the moment. Because I feel like I sort of, I think my Inspire Believer has lost her mojo. Which a lot of people have lost their mojo this year. It's been a hard year.
It has. But for those of us that are Inspire Believers, this is a common thing that we live with all the time. Yeah. And yes, then we have external influences like we have experienced in 2020 that has also really drained us because we've tried to be positive, to be optimistic, to be motivated. And yet there's a whole world around us like constantly in change and in flux and
Yeah.
uncertain. And we're like, well, I don't know where we fit. That has also triggered a lot of shapeshifter alchemists to go, well, who am I going to be? So the chameleon aspect of the shapeshifter then is like, I'll just morph and change and adapt to be. And then you get lost in the, I'm so many versions of myself or someone else. I don't even know who I am. And then that will overwhelm the inspired believer who gets all trained again.
Well, I think, because I completely lost, obviously, one part of my business because no one can have weddings.
Yeah.
I mean, even the branding portraits, like when we were in lockdown, that was pretty much impossible as well. But, the wedding thing, you completely lost. And then I think the messaging coming from the external world is like pivot. And I feel like my shapeshifter, maybe my inspired believer, were like, I've got to pivot, like I've got to figure out what I need to do.
Okay.
And I think I've changed my website like 3 times.
Oh wow. Okay. Yes.
Just to figure out my focus. And then I was like, I don't want to do it on like I don't want to just change everything because obviously
the influence from
the influence on the outside. I want to actually do what I love to do.
Okay, so let's start there. Or let's go into that. What do you really love to do?
I really love creating photos for people. I like connecting with people, and I really love creating their portraits for them. And I guess also that mentor teacher in how they can use their photos, how they can, with branding, how they can use the photos like for bigger things. Last night in the middle of the night when I'm up with sick child and sick myself, as you can probably hear, I don't usually sound this
nasally, but you still sound fabulous, darling. It's all good.
And I had like 3 ideas of like how to show people how to use their branding photos with Canva and stuff like that.
So it's your visionary creator and your mentor teacher going, awesome, what can I teach people? And all the new ideas about how I can do that.
At 2 a.m. in the morning, not so great. So that's what I love. That's why I, spent so long fighting to become a photographer and wedding photographer.
Well regarded one.
And so, and it, and it's, I mean, it's obviously, it's a hard business, like, shooting someone's wedding for like 10 to 12 hours is a bit hard physically on you when I'm getting older and having a toddler that doesn't like to sleep. It's a bit hard.
So lots going on. As we can see in your archetypes. So if I just want to put something to you in terms of, again, this is exactly how I would unpack something with someone from the perspective of their archetypes. If we go through and you've got 5, so we talk a little bit about each one of them and how that archetype can support you in you being able to do that thing that you love, which is creating those beautiful images for people that really capture the best of who they are. Now that may be your brand photography, it may be event wedding type photography, but it's about capturing the images, isn't it, of people? Bringing that to life. Okay, so I'm going to throw it back to you though. Which archetype do you want to talk about first?
I think shapeshifter, because
look at the way you said that. Shapeshifter. Okay, so the masked lady.
Like I want to capture that magic again. Like I feel like I used to have it before I even knew about her. I want to capture her magic again.
All right, cool. So let's talk about how that the magical aspect of the shapeshifter, because it's such a big part of that archetype. And in fact, in the Thrive Factor Inner Circle call earlier today with the members in that group, we ended up talking a lot about magic and reconnecting to magic for shapeshifter alchemists, because magic, and when I use that word, I use it with an invitation for you to tune in and get clear on what magic means to you. I'm not prefacing and saying that magic means anything in particular. For a shapeshifter alchemist, it is about what does magic mean to you. So you said earlier, Em, that you felt like before you knew about your Shakespeare alchemist and knew that she was magical, you just were magical. You just did magical things. You just did things that felt like you were, you know, had magic in your day. So what were those things? What, just a couple of them. What were they?
Well, I would manifest things, and
Yes.
not really the way that I would want, like, you know, so I don't enter the lottery very often. I usually just do like the big ones. And then, you know, on my 30th birthday, or before my 30th birthday, I was like, really want to do a trip away, but we sort of didn't really have the money to kind of, and I'd started a new job at UWA, and I won not a lot of money, like $3,000, which was a lot, enough to cover our holiday. Like, me and my partner went on a big kind of like holiday together, and which was so, and then when I was starting my business, I was like, oh, I just wish I'd kind of put away a little bit more money to make myself feel a bit more secure about leaving like a paycheck. And like, even though in my head I was like, when I hit 30 bookings, I will quit my job. I hit 30 bookings, I quit my job. So that was kind of manifesting, like, you know, 100%. It came right at the end of the year as well. And so December, I think 13th, I quit my job. And then and then like 2 months later, I won another little bit of lotto, like $3,000 again. Weird. So that felt like I manifested it. Like,
you know, makes sense.
How people say that, you know, because I wasn't thinking that sort of thing. I've never really like gone. So
it wasn't conscious. It was just part of who you were. Which is exactly what archetypal patterning, I guess, for want of a better way to say it, is exactly, you know, this is what it is. We are just who we are. When we learn about our archetypes, whether it's a Thrive Factor framework or some other framework or personality profiling or whatever you do, sometimes that can have an influence. And we're like, well, now I know this about myself. Now how do I make this my reality? And yet before, when you didn't know, you just showed up and it just was who you were. Yeah. So the good thing is you can get back to that because you've done it in the past. And so the shapeshifter is the adaptable, needing variety, versatile chameleon. The alchemist part of the shapeshifter alchemist is the master manifester. So it's about really connecting and grounding with what I said before. Whatever makes you feel magical, that will help to activate the manifesting again for you. Now, what that looks like in a business perspective is being really clear and considered about what you're thinking, saying, feeling, and doing. So having goals. It's not having thousands of goals, because we already, that's stepping the variety too far. Getting clear on, you know, a set of goals for a set period of time that are really measurable and well defined. So say, for example, you want to do like you did with that, when I get to X number of bookings, I'm quitting my job. So it's in what is the version for now. So coming back to you wanting to do more of the beautiful photography work that you do, bringing people's, you know, I guess their essence and their brand, their everything to life. What does that look like in terms of, you know, between now where we are in September and the end of this year, as a foundation to reset yourself for 2021 and beyond? Goal-wise, what do you want to do?
I have set myself like little goals. So I've got a headshot day. So I have the slots to fill. I'm almost at, I've got 3 more slots to fill. So that's kind of, so in my head, I do, you know, I have, well, not in my head, I have written that down. So I guess, and I've always had like, you know, I need to shoot this many weddings this year. But I think because I didn't want to shoot, like I do want to shoot weddings, but I don't want to shoot that many weddings, because...
All right, so you change the number.
Yeah,
and you go with a lesser number than you may have done in the past. You can redefine that goal at any point in time. But the thing about the shapeshifter is you don't want to constantly be changing it. Because, then it's like you're just like all in flux again.
And that's, you know, I was sort of always kind of had like in my Trello board for like bookings, I'd always have like this number, this number, this number.
All the spots.
And maybe I shouldn't be doing this number. Like, I should actually sit down and really rework it to what I can actually achieve. Because,
so being realistic with the time you have available, the energy you have available, the type of
yes.
work you want to do, and the reality of what's happening in the world. So that would be a suggestion, would be to reset that goal and those goals for yourself around your shoots with, say, a review at, you know, in 3 months' time. You reset again. So maybe it's a, you know, be a good thing for quarterly. So visionary creators, just as a little thing that you and I both know about, that is an archetype that sees well into the future, and she was very wants, like, you know, we don't just set goals for this week or for this month or this quarter, we set them for years in advance. So that can be a real challenge for the visionary creator, is actually bringing it closer to the here and now. So have your vision for the future, but your goals for a shorter time frame. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that, and get back to the things that, whatever they were, that made you, that you would say was you being in your magic, and weave more of that into your day. That's going to help the manifesting muscle, for want of a better way to say it, to come to life in a bigger sense, and help you to really bring those goals that you're setting to life. So I think that's part of it. And share the magic. You know, if you're doing something and it's like, and it feels magic, or you know, or whatever other words that you would use to describe that, that is great content as a shapeshifter alchemist to be sharing, say, in your marketing, on your social media. Just the things that you do, being you. Rather than Emma as photographer. Emma as this. You know, what about Emma as Emma? And all these different beautiful dimensions of you. You know, shapeshifter is multi-dimensional on a whole different scale to any other archetype. So letting us to see little parts of that you feel comfortable to share is a way for us to be engaged with you and get to know you and go, I get that Emma's got this richness to her. Imagine what she might bring to a photo shoot with me because of who she is and how she is multidimensional. So challenging that to not be an overwhelm or a challenge, but a gift. The chameleon aspect and the diversity and the beautiful empathy that you have, because that's the one archetype that can almost, as much as being somebody else, you can walk in their shoes as close to them actually doing that. So you can really put yourself in their position and imagine what it's like to be them. That's a gift that you bring in terms of really knowing someone and who they are, and then bringing that to life as your visionary creator coming together there. Helpful?
Yes, helpful.
Okay. Well, who would you like to talk about next? Just talk about a couple more.
All right. Let's talk about Inspire a Believer.
Okay.
Is that all right?
This is up to you, Em. We can talk about whichever of your archetypes you want to talk about. So the Inspire a Believer, what do you know about your Inspire a Believer?
You know what? Not much.
Okay.
I kind of ignore her a little bit. I think because I feel like I've got like quite big ones. Like, obviously I don't have Queen Ruler, but like Shapeshifter, the Mentor Teacher, well, even the Heroine Adventurer and the
Visionary Creator.
Visionary Creator. So I feel like the Inspire Believer just kind of
gets missed a little bit.
I think it's hard with 5. It is. I feel like it's hard.
And if anyone's listening and they're like, why has Emma got 5? You know, there is no definitive number of archetypes, and she's not being greedy because she's got 5. You know, I have profiled women with anywhere, the general numbers is 4 or 5 archetypes, to be honest. Some women have 3, some women have 6. One of the trifecta profilers, the beautiful Kim Herman, is the only woman that genuinely has 7 archetypes that I've profiled in the 500-ish or so profiles I've done. So so you're thinking 5's complex, Kim's got 7. But she really has 4 that are definitely more, if it's vocal, more active in her. So the shapeshifter alchemist has such a huge influence. That is often why women have more than the 3 or 4 archetypes, because it's that chameleon aspect of that, of you bringing yourself forward. So the Inspire a Believer, this is an archetype that is all, as much as her name suggests, she's all about inspiration. So the greatest gift for an Inspire a Believer to give herself and the world is to be inspired by who she is, what she's creating and what she's putting out in the world. So this archetype will work beautifully and does work beautifully with your shapeshifter, alchemist, and your visionary creator.
Okay.
Okay? Because the three of them have all got a creative aspect to them. Yeah, the inspired believer is often quite craft sort of driven, rather than your visionary creator is more an artist. So your photography work. Yeah, for me, it's my painting that I do as a visionary creator.
Yeah.
So the inspired believer, there is also an incredible energetic aspect to her. So she brings a lot of energy to what she does. Yeah, and can be peaks and troughs. So if we come back, just have a quick look at the visual there.
Yeah.
The flames are as much the flames of inspiration as they are the flames of the amount of energy that goes into something, and the fact that an inspired believer can get burned or burnt out or burn herself out because she's all or nothing archetype. Yeah, and when she's, it's the high highs and everything's fab and it's all expansive, and then the low lows can be what I refer to as mojoless. So you said, you've lost your motivation, you're a bit flat, you feel a bit, disengaged with the world and your work. Yeah. That's definitely an influence from the inspired believer. Hugely so.
It's weird for me because I've never
been like that.
Right. Like I've always had 3 jobs. Like, when I guess I do have 3 jobs now. Yes. But when I first started working, it wasn't 1 job, it was 3. It's all
do multiple things. Shapeshifter.
This, and I had a car accident, and I remember one of my friends said maybe because I broke my, like, I was in hospital for a bit and stuff.
Yeah.
And my friend actually said, oh, maybe it will slow you down a little bit. And then 2 days later, I enrolled to learn Spanish, which I didn't learn very well, but I enrolled in Spanish.
Yes, yeah.
To do while I'm like just
mental teacher. I'm just going to learn some new things. Her adventure is all about driving to succeed. She can be very focused. So yes, you do have archetypes with your visionary creator, your hero and adventure, and your mental teacher that are very driven and very focused, and they're moving forward with great momentum. So I'm not surprised that you have just shared that you're inspired believer, and being unmotivated or a bit flat and a bit, I don't know what I'm doing, is unusual or not your regular state. So that's also going to feel really challenging for you.
Well, it is. I just felt like I haven't had I guess a place in.
It's a loss. So this is where the inspired believer and the shapeshifter alchemist are colluding together, and not necessarily a good way. And there's what I often talk about, and this is, I guess, the therapist coming out at me too, that it's like some identity challenge. I don't really know who I am, where I fit in the world, what I'm doing. And that can make us feel really like we've lost our mojo. It's like, well, what's the point then? I can't answer those things. I don't know where I am and what I'm doing. So why bother? And that's, again, you can get really stuck in that place. So the inspired believer, the inspiration part is that inspired believers tend to want to be inspiring. We don't necessarily get that we are. So tuning back into your own inspiration, the things that inspire you are important to reactivate that energy. And then the believer part talks to the strong belief systems that you have. Now, with your mentor teacher, those belief systems will likely be things that you've also learned. So books, teachers, courses, stuff that you've done, that you've really, and the belief systems are, for an inspired believer, it's about the things that help us make sense of who we are and our place in the world. So you've had lots of challenges, and also you've had the external world come at you and go, well, you can't be a wedding photographer this year. So who are you going to be? And you've gone, I don't know, and I don't know what's next, even though I've got these other things that I'm doing. So we can see where the intellectualize where it's coming from, but it's not about that. It's about the embodiment of how do we change that. So what I would suggest from the perspective of your inspired believer is really tuning into the core messages and magic of your other archetypes to be able to bring that energy back to a place that it is increasing. And it's not all or nothing. It's just increasing and sustaining and supporting you as you keep moving forward, as you're reconnecting or realigning with who you are. All right. So the inspired believer, magic. She wants magic in your shapeshifter alchemist. Your visionary creator, it's your creativity and vision. So trusting your knowing. That's a real gift of the visionary creator archetype, is that when we know something, we really know it. So it's about learning to reconnect with trusting that knowing. and being creative in whatever that is for you. So I know you've been trying to do some more fun and creative, playful things with your photography that doesn't necessarily involve a shoot.
Yeah.
So that is going to be help to reconnect your inspire believer. Your Heron adventurer. Yeah, she's fierce, she's determined when she's focused and got her goals. So that's where she works well with the shapeshifter's goal setting. She can create incredible things, but she can forget to be soft and gentle, and take care of herself. So self-care, whatever that is, and nature for you, more time out walking the dog, that sort of thing. That is what your inspired believer is going to get re-energized by, that nature time. And then your mentor teacher, it's not about learning new things and signing up for new courses and programs and all the things that mentor teachers like to do. In fact, when we do more of that, it's a sign that we've disconnected from our wisdom. So it's about going back in and going, you know what, I actually do know a lot and I do share a lot. And how can I bring the wisdom and the expertise and the experience I have into the work that I do as part of the identity of who I am? So you're capturing and creating beautiful images, incredible magnetic images for people, but you're also teaching them what to do with that.
Okay. Yeah. So for the mentor teacher, instead of
learning,
I should actually channel it to putting out.
Yeah, it's reconnecting with the wisdom you already have rather than learning more things and then being the teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do miss that. I liked being a teacher. I just didn't really like teenagers.
Oh, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So what are you going to do with all of that? We've just talked about quite a few bits and pieces there. What's the thing that's jumping out for you in terms of some action you can take? Because you're an adventurer, love some action.
Yes.
Yeah. So what can you do with all of that to help you to really reconnect with who you are and bring the energy and the magic to life again?
Yeah. Well, I think I do need to set time aside to do the teaching. And whatever form, like probably Instagram stories and that sort of thing, or YouTube.
Let go of the how.
Yep.
And use your visionary creator's vision of what's possible.
Yeah. So do the teaching and maybe spend more time going for hikes.
There you go.
Yeah. I haven't.
Good.
Well, yeah, I haven't been out since June because it was. Yeah, maybe that's it as well, because it's been wet and yucky and I just kind of don't go.
Yep. So some outside time for your Heron adventurers. If they can't get a lot of outside time, I'll often say to them, literally just go and stand outside for 5 minutes, breathe the fresh air, find a tree and hug it, put your feet in the earth, no shoes, that sort of thing. So you're really grounding yourself, and that's going to help your shapeshifter, your alchemist, also to ground in.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
Good. Feel clearer?
Yes.
A little bit? Awesome.
A little bit. Yes.
Good. And so
lots of work to do.
Yeah, little steps. Yeah. So just I think the thing for anyone who's trying to reconnect themselves, realign themselves, come to a decision or find clarity is, what's the one thing I can do with what I've just learned or reflected on? What's my first step? Yeah. What's the first thing that I'm going to do to bring me one or more steps closer to my goal?
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Beautiful.
Walk this afternoon.
There you go. See, go for a walk this afternoon. Love it.
Ooh, it's probably beach weather too.
Yeah, it is getting close to it where we are, for sure. So everyone in different parts of the world have got all sorts of different weather systems going on, but we are beautifully in spring and heading to summer in Australia. So thank you. That was awesome I really appreciate you joining me for a bit of a Thrive Factor Live and sharing your little bit of dilemma in your life right now, so we could talk about it from the perspective of your archetypes and give you some insight. So I really appreciate that. And anyone who's watching us or has tuned into this in any format, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer them. And follow Emma on Acorn Creative. You'll find her on social media, and you might just see what she ends up transforming into or realigning into moving forward. So thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day.
Thanks.